On this next hour, we look at what's happening in the country now, in terms of governance, leadership, politics. And we're joined by the Member of Parliament for Homabay Town, the Honorable Peter Kaluma. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Morning, Latiff.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Great, very happy as a good governance guy for where we are as a nation and what we can achieve working together.
Very good. Very good. Karibu sana.
Asante, Latiff.
I know you are in the Speaker's panel of the National Assembly. You're a very busy man.
Luos call it Assistant Speaker, not Speaker's panel.
Assistant Speaker.
Yeah, they understand.
There's a
that.
Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Assistant Speaker.
Then Kaluma.
Okay. Hey, what do you say? Man is from Homabay. All Homabay. When you hear a man from Homabay, just expects.
Yeah.
What were you told it's called?
Which one?
Yeah? This thing that they have, the vavavoom of the Homabay people. There's a word. Nyade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nyade.
What is Nyade city?
Nyade is pride. Pride in who you are.
That
plumage.
It's a plumage of the chicken.
Plumage of the
Yes,
chicken.
the plumage.
So
insert that word appropriately when you're giving the proverb.
Yes.
Use the right language. So, City, why don't you give the Honorable Kaluma the day's proverb?
Yes. This is our final proverb from the Union of the Comoros. And as per popular demand, I will give a little tweaking, a little editing. A chicken with nyadi, otherwise known as beautiful plumage, does not sit in a corner.
A chicken with beautiful plumage does not sit in a corner.
Yes.
A chicken from Homabay does not sit in a corner.
A chicken from Homabay with good plumage knows it has good plumage. And it will let you know that
And
it
it will
knows.
not sit in a corner.
No, it will not.
Yeah. What's the interpretation of this one?
The interpretation is Rogo Manduli.
Right.
Does not sit in a corner.
Yeah.
What is the proverb telling you?
Don't be shy to show out and to use what you have.
Don't be afraid to blow your own trumpet.
Don't be afraid to blow it. If you don't have it, act it.
Yes.
If you don't have it, act it. Let everybody know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, now we are in a new era in the country. For example, we have Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Kwanza broad-based coalition government. Am I right?
No, you're wrong.
What do we have?
Yeah, Latiff, coming from where we are and as a leader, allow me first to condole, those Kenyans who died during what we've been going through in terms of our reforms, and to wish, their families God's strength and comfort. Let me also, because of where we are and what we are discussing, thank President William Ruto for striving to achieve an inclusive nation, which has been missing from the start of this government. You remember, from the start of this government, we had the deputy president in particular shouting that this is a government of shareholders, despite the Constitution saying all Kenyans of all ethnic groups, minorities, all gender, persons with disabilities will be included. So let me thank the president for the nominations he has made. Far from, the cabinet which was sent home, this one appears not totally inclusive, but a progress in that direction. And it is in that context that you see a lot of noise within the ODM party now. You see a lot of noise within, Kenya Kwanza. You see a lot of noise within even UDA. The fact of the matter is that for people who don't understand our constitution and structure of government, the idea that you can have a cabinet secretary from within Luo Nyanza, not necessarily a Luo, is something they can't imagine. And they can tell you, Latiff, up to yesterday in the night, even members of the ODM party are still saying Badi must leave that seat, because to them their definition of some communities is limited to things like mandamano, throwing stones, not doing anything much. The idea that you can have the minister in charge of the treasury and the minister in charge of energy, from what people know as within Nyanza region, even if they are not Luos, has really disturbed people. And so let me go back to your question now. Article 4 of the Constitution says Kenya is a multi-party democratic state. It means it is a state in which we have very many political parties. In our place, you know, I am a member of the ODM party. They are members of UDA. If you go to Article 10, it will tell you about the national values and principles of governance, which includes inclusivity. You go to the chapter on the executive, you'll see the powers of the president. You go particularly to Article 232 of the Constitution, it talks and do to how the public service is composed. What has been happening in this country is that public service has been composed in a manner that is unconstitutional. And this is one of the reasons as to why our young people, following other, agitations, were on the streets. Remember, they were saying tribeless, so many less. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the fact that the president appoints people is his. And let me begin by telling you that all Kenyans, for those who do not know our constitution, are in government, including you, Latiff, including my brother Muga, including Kaluma. In fact, more so me, I'm a state officer, I'm a member of parliament in the government of Kenya. Raila Odinga is in government. So it is out of some misunderstanding when you ask Raila has entered government or ODM has entered KK government. All these parties and all Kenyans are in government, but all Kenyans are different in different political parties. So
let me take you back just a little bit. You talk about appointments being unconstitutional. Like which ones are you speaking
The
of?
previous ones.
Which ones?
The cabinet, which was dissolved, and then so many of them. You remember even and across public service.
Those offices, those appointments were unconstitutional?
Unconstitutional in terms of not meeting the constitutional benchmarks.
Such as?
Article 230, 232.
What are those?
Ethnic balance. The Constitution says there will be all ethnic groups. Gender balance. I can tell you on the first point too, just a short while you saw over 1,402 people being employed to Kenya Revenue Authority as revenue assistants from two communities. It was in Parliament, it went to court, the court nullified it, but they are still working. That is what we had. So I'm saying it did not meet benchmarks like gender, balance, the minorities, you didn't have their number, persons with disability, to date you don't have. So I'm saying there is progress and we need to continue to fight. And that is why I'm saying beyond the cabinet, we need to go to PSS, up to the people who clean our floors. And we are waiting for more opportunities for all Kenyans, not just in ODM.
Is this new
Kenyans.
proposed cabinet then constitutional?
It is a progress. It has not met the mark fully, because I've not seen a person with disability, for instance, in it. To whom we are required to have at least 5%. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's better than what we had. What we had was largely, remember, one community had 8 cabinet positions, whose portfolios you understood, just one community, one region, against the Constitution, which speaks to the matter of the face of Kenya, ethnic and regional balance. And remember, the DPS letters last weekend was still saying, I'm searching for 2 more. Yeah, so that is not the Kenya we want. And so I'm discouraging Kenyans from thinking when you appoint people from regions which are deemed to be for this political party, then they have joined government. Everybody is in government. They're just taking their due spaces under the Constitution to serve the country.
So if Mbadi and Opiyo Wandayi had not been nominated here, would you still consider, if it was other people from Luo Nyanza, would you be okay with it?
By then, Mbadi is not a Luo. Mbadi is from the minority group called Suba.
Okay. Is it from Nyanza?
Yes, it is within Nyanza.
All right.
On the Kisii side, we have the nominee for education, and we had education before you know it. Wandayi is on the other side of the lake. So I don't know whether it's Luo or Luo.
If John Mbadi...
But he's a Kenyan. That is what is important.
If John Mbadi and Opiyo Wandayi are not the names that appeared in the nominees list, and you had Eliud Owalo and, say, Machage...
I have no problem.
Would it be okay?
I have no problem. And that is why I have
So
a
that's
problem.
what we had. We had Eli Dowala before, we had Machage before.
Yes, it is the president who appoints, and the president goes for competences which he needs to lead the country. And you see, I am shocked at how we contradict ourselves. When we had a problem with the Ruto cabinet, the person whose clips as all media were showing was John Mbadi's talk. John Mbadi is up to now the chair of the Public Accounts Committee, which is the primary committee of oversight in Parliament. And by the way, it's done very well. We are up to date in terms of the audits, so that our counties can get due money. Wandai is the minority leader. Wandai is a former detainee. You saw how Wandai was even ordered out of Parliament for a whole year. Abruptly, when they are appointed, people don't want to see their competences. They think of the region they're coming from. We can't permit that. That is not the Kenya we want.
Are you sure people are seeing the region?
Yeah, that is what they are talking about.
What are they talking about?
I can tell you up to last night, members of ODM from some regions were still meeting saying Mbadi must leave treasury for them. You know, this tribal bigotry is being spewed around. You saw the media last night where people from one tribe are shouting Mbadi must leave, Wandai must leave, and they're within ODM. A lot of dishonesty. A lot of dishonesty. Let us allow Kenyans from all backgrounds, from all regions, of all diversity to serve the country more so where we are today.
So you quoted Article 4 of the Constitution, right? And Kenya is a multi-party democracy.
Correct.
Does it envision a place where after an election, all sides, all political parties then are game for forming the executive?
We are not in the executive.
If the chairman of ODM takes up the position in the executive, does it envision a situation where all political parties join the executive?
Not necessarily. Number one, let me clarify our architecture. I've heard people saying a lot that the opposition has gone to bed with government.
And had a baby.
Look at the Constitution of Kenya. If you showed me the word opposition as part of our structure of our governance, opposition, I will invest 1 million in Britam because I'd invested with them before I lapsed, and I'm seeking out to recover my investments in education. It is very important, I tell you. There is no position in our current structure. In the current structure, we have a presidential system of government.
Yes.
And in a presidential system of government, the opposition is parliament as a whole. So we don't have government side like before and opposition.
Okay.
We talk these things because we are hangover. We have the hangover of the past constitutional order, the dictatorial one we replaced. The arrangement we have is that Ichungwa, who is the majority leader currently, should be the one leading our charge against the executive. But you know, because we are died in the wool of the past, Akina Ichungwa say we are in government, there is some imaginary opposition to them somewhere. And these are the things we are mistaking. I'm saying all these people are in government. ODM party is funded by the public. I hope we know that. Kenya Kwanza and their coalitions are funded by the public. The parties which qualify, these are properties of the Kenyan people they are investing in for their good governance. And that is what it is. And the president is empowered to appoint anybody. We are making noise now. But in the 11th parliament, you remember Kaiseri was appointed from among ODM. And he led as a very good, minister for security. In fact, it is his place which was taken by Memusi. The president is given the leeway as the head of state to pick whoever he believes could have the best competences and capacities to enable them move forward. And so he's appointing John Mbadi. And remember, when John Mbadi succeeds during vetting, and I can assure you we will approve him because we know his contributions to this country. The ODM party has structures. We are going to have a new chair. We have very many people in ODM to lead.
Please,
so this thing of crying bad, he should be the chair. If he goes, there is no position. I don't understand it.
Can we go a step back? So are you saying that what we've seen recently with the nominations for appointees by the president was solely based on vacancies that have been created by virtue of the dissolution of cabinet, and that the prerequisite for this was purely that they're able to do the work? And it has nothing at all to do with the political innuendo that we've seen played out in the country over the last few weeks?
Yeah, the media is misleading the country. If there were time,
I'm asking if the president appointments were made solely on what you said just now, based on competencies, based on the vacancies that have been left in cabinet, are those appointments based solely on those?
In my view, looking at all the appointments, I'm satisfied by their competence. Of course, I'm not the president to know.
Kaluma, I'm going to stick on that question.
I'm not the president to know what other considerations he had, but I can tell you on the face of it, they are competent Kenyans, and we'll be vetting them. Other issues could arise. I also don't know each individual in detail, but so far as I know, in terms of competences, the ones I know, like the Honorable John Badi, the Honorable Pio Wandai, the Honorable Wycliffe Oporanya, the Honorable Joe, even the Honorable Murkomen for sports. We've been in Bunga FC and for 13 years with Murkomen playing soccer, even when he was appointed minister.
So by virtue of the fact that you've played soccer with him, so that was a good idea for him to be
I'm telling you, if he's taken to sports, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
The question again, Ndu?
I'm going to ask the question again. Based on what you previously said, are these appointments for nominations by the president based purely on competencies from what you see?
Yes, there is competence and there are other considerations under Article 232. So I say yes, and I say there are additional considerations. If you look at Article 232, it says you'll appoint based on merits and competence. But so in so doing, you will be subject to these other requirements like ethnic balance, gender balance. You'll consider minorities like the Subas from where Mbadi comes from. By the way, it's not a Luo. You consider persons with disability. Yes. So yes.
So the politics of the day plays no part here whatsoever?
In fact, not at all.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The president himself commended the leadership of diverse organizations, both public and private, including political parties, for their encouraging response to his outreach to consult on forming a broad-based government. The willingness to set aside their partisan positions and interests in order to join a visionary partnership for the radical transformation of Kenya is a historic gesture of their patriotism. So this was what he said when he announced the new nominees. And prior to that, he had said he wants to consult widely. He wants to reach out to leadership of all political parties, and so that they can join government. Again, I go back to your Article 4 of the Constitution and the formation of government and structure of government. Are you saying, Bwana Assistant Speaker of the National Assembly, that the Constitution envisages a place where, after an election, the winning political party and the candidate can go to the losing political party and its candidate and co-opt them into government?
We've not been co-opted into government.
Can
individuals who are competent to serve the country have been picked from the ODM and other political parties to serve the government. And when they go into government, they are required by law to resign before. So they'll cease to be in any political party as civil servants.
Okay. Did you have a problem when the president invited some ODM members for meetings in State House?
Certainly.
The ODM party has had a problem with individual members of parliament in their individual capacity, not as officials of ODM, for meetings in parliament.
There is
the ODM party has censured those members of parliament for going not to join the executive, but to have a meeting with the president.
There is every problem with the approach, not meeting the president. I meet the president quite often. I've met the first lady. What we require as a party is that you disclose, and it should not be that you then stand on the fence as to whether you are in your party or not, because when you meet the president, like the way I met the first lady to discuss matters family law and the situation of children in Kenya, and from that, you remember the first lady came up with Children of the Nation as one additional program she can run. That is fine. But when you meet the president and then you don't kowtow to your party, particularly when the whip is applied in terms of how you should align yourselves with your manifesto in decision making in parliament, then there is a problem. You are not being honest with your party.
Okay.
And that way you fall afoul of the law.
The official position of ODM, as communicated by the Secretary General after several meetings of the top organs of ODM, is that ODM is not joining government. That ODM is not entering into any agreement and partnerships with government. Did the deputy party leaders of ODM, the Honorable Hassan Ali Joho and the Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, did the chairman of ODM, the Honorable John Badi, did the minority leader in the National Assembly, nominated by ODM, the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, inform and seek to kowtow with the party before they were nominated?
I'll tell Latiff, this is the one thing I came to clarify. So allow me to clarify it. The ODM party and Azimio coalition has had very many meetings on this matter. And if you want to see the resolutions reached in all those meetings, more so the last meeting which I saw the Secretary General of the party, talking about, the one which was disrupted by the youth when we were reading resolutions. And with Latiff, if you look at that video, I was on the left of Kalonzo on the podium. Actually, the second person on the left. We've had very many meetings. If you want to look at the totality of the resolutions reached, look at the first note Prime Minister Raila Odinga, our party leader, sent out over the weekend. I don't know whether you remember it. And then look at his letter, of yesterday. You look at them, you will see 5 resolutions which we came to out of those meetings, particularly the last one. The problem causing confusion is that when you hear Sifuna is speaking to one thing, not the whole, picture, the way, our party leader has been speaking about it. That's the same way you see James Orengo will pick one, but he does not tell people the whole thing. So look at what, Baba, the party leader, says in totality. And there were 5 things. Number 1, we discussed 5 issues. Number 1, we said there were some things which the current government needed to do, before we can go into a situation where people would have conversation. And you saw them in the list of the preconditions the party leader sent out in his note over the weekend. We said we are still burying Kenyans who are killed during this clamor for reforms. We need to be done with that. We said so many people could not be accounted for, even as we speak to. We needed them to be accounted for. We said those ones who are in police stations across the country need to be released. We said the president and his government need to think of how we can have some level of compensation, for the lives lost. Of course, you cannot, compensate life. But we said, among other reforms like NHIF, SHIF, you saw Baba put them as preconditions. And we said, when all these are done, the nation could be in an environment to discuss. At the second level, we said the word dialogue was disturbing people, and it is what was making people to think there is some rapprochement or rapprochement between our party leader and the president. And we said, because when you talk dialogue, you think to people. And so people were easily saying there is a new handshake coming. I'm the one who spoke on the floor, Latiff. And my Secretary General will tell you, because after he spoke, people adopted it and said we do the resolutions. And we did the resolutions with him. I can tell you. And I said, move this thing from dialogue when those conditions are met and we are in a good state as a country where we can talk. Because a number of these things the youth were talking about can only be gained from the table.
You can come back to that. But my direct question was...
No, let me give you the fair. I'm going to where you are, because I want to put this thing in context. Latiff, this is important for me. And so we said, let us have a national people's convention at a neutral place. So you remember the note of the party leader over the weekend. He gave conditions. Then after that, he said there will be a national convention, because that portends everybody coming to bring their views in terms of how we should move the country. In which case, even the president would be coming as a Kenyan, not just to respond, but also to give us the views. And all sections of Kenyans, you remember, Baba stipulated there. The next thing was a discussion around this matter you are on, where we were saying the president is saying he needs to co-opt other Kenyans. He needs to reach out beyond his, limited political party to enrich his government. How do we go about it? And the resolution we reached on that regard and I gave on the floor the example of Nkaiseri, is that the president has the power to appoint anybody in the country. He can appoint anybody. And that is why I tell you all these guys are saying the same thing, but they are speaking in turns, at cross purposes. Because Sifuna is saying, ODM has not blessed them. What he's not telling you is that we said, we did not, however, limit the constitutional power and authority of the president to appoint anybody, including from ODM. And I gave the power of Nkaiseri. Then lastly, in terms of joining government, which is tied to the third point, we said there is nothing like joining government. But we empowered our party leader to continue engaging other parties because we are a growing party, okay? And as and when he reached an agreement with any party would tell us, we empowered him. And so I can tell you they are right when they tell you, so far as we know, we don't have an alliance with the UDA and ODM, All Kenya Kwanza, and ODM. What we know is that we resolved that the president can appoint anybody, including from ODM.
I want us to take a break.
And so I'm saying it is very wrong for members of the party to go saying, the way my Secretary General was saying, I don't support this, I don't do this. Let the president proceed as he's doing, as we wait for any talk that there is. And I'm confirming, I'm not aware of any talk which has been undertaken between the Prime Minister and President Ruto. In fact, these appointments were made when you remember our party leader was out of the country.
That's your question. Now my question. Answer my question. And I'm going to give you the context as well, because I'd asked the question before and you answered it. And now the next question. The context is, you've just told us that the Honorable Jalango, the Senator for Kisumu, and the other members of ODM who have gone to State House for a meeting with the president were censured by the party because they had not first sought the approval of the party before engaging in any kind of consultation with the president. So the question is, did the two deputy party leaders of ODM, did the chairman of ODM, did the minority leader of the National Assembly, who's an ODM member, seek the approval of ODM before this nomination?
I said we resolved that the president can appoint anybody, including them. And I said so long as they are being appointed by president to serve Kenyans, the approval of the party is not necessary.
So can the president invite anybody to State House just for a meeting? Does he not have the sole discretion to be able to do that regardless of where your party
He's
sits?
the president of the Republic.
He's the president of the Republic of Kenya.
I've told
he
you
can invite you for a meeting at State
of
House.
A multi-party democracy.
What would the difference be?
By the way, do I tell you, I serve in the committee that oversights.
You're not answering the question. Let's take a break.
No. Latiff, I go to State House.
Let's take a break.
I told you the reason as to why you go is the issue.
Does the ODM party expect the deputy party leaders, the chairman, and this other member to come to it now and say, I have been approached, give me authority to engage with the president? No. The same way that Jalango was expected to seek the party's position. We'll come back, you'll answer that question.
You're mixing issues.
Mheshimiwa, there's a Twitter handle called @Raila Odinga.
Yes.
It's the next handle. I'm sure you're one of the followers. It has 4.7 million followers. All right.
That is Baba. I'm one of them.
That is Baba.
One of his followers.
He regularly tweets here and even declares statements. For example, over the weekend, the clarification on what the stand was basically released through this Twitter handle.
Correct.
And this was to the young, resilient generation of our nation, where he said what you've just told us.
Yes.
What his position was. 2 days ago, on the 23rd, he retweeted a statement that was published on Azimio TV, another handle. Mm-hmm. And that also is, one of the handle by the Azimio Coalition Party.
Yes. And
it says, Raila Odinga warns ODM members against joining the Ruto regime. A story by Clifford Derrick on the 23rd. Raila Odinga, the leader of the Orange Democratic Movement and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, has backed the statement by his Secretary General Edwin Sifuna as he issued a stern warning to ODM members, urging them not to join President William Ruto's regime. In responding to queries about members of ODM who were set to join the cabinet to be announced by the president, he clarified that he has not forwarded any names to the president for appointment to the cabinet. He said his position and the one that had been taken by the party was that there were critical outstanding issues that needed to be addressed by the government before any form of engagement was entered into. And then go back into what he had said on Sunday, the preconditions before any sort of engagement. Now back to my question. The two deputy party leaders of ODM, the chairman of ODM, the leader of the minority in the National Assembly, members of ODM, all of them have now been nominated to join President Ruto's cabinet. And you support that. Should they come to the party before accepting this nomination? Should they come to the party to say, we have been nominated, please give us the way forward? Bearing in mind that the party leader has said no ODM member should join this Ruto regime.
The note from my party leader, which I saw, is the second one I spoke about, the one on his letterhead. So I don't want to talk to what other people are reporting him as having said, including Azimio TV.
Raila Odinga has reposted this particular statement. That means he's endorsed it.
I don't know. What I know,
you can check.
What I know
at Raila Odinga.
No. I don't have to seek endorsements of what Baba has tweeted. I look at what Raila has spoken on his letterhead, and I've told you the two documents my party leader has spoken in public in his hand, the one over the weekend and the last one on his letterhead. In the last one in his letterhead, he wishes them well, but he says there is not yet formal engagement between ODM and Kenya Kwanza. But you remember it came yesterday, and he says on his letterhead that he wishes them well, and he is not saying that they should not take the positions. What I'm saying is that
I'm asking,
service
as a
to
party,
service to nation Latiff.
Wait. My question is very specific. It's as a party, the same party that censured members who had a meeting with the president because it was expecting them to come to the party first and say, we have been invited to a meeting, give us the go-ahead. Does the party expect these four members, top leaders of the party, to come to the strong organs of the party and say, we have been appointed, nominated to join the cabinet, please give us the go-ahead?
Latiff, you're talking of the chair.
Answer the question
get
directly,
it? No, get this, Latiff. You're talking of the chair of the party.
Yes.
You are talking of two deputy leaders of the party.
Yes.
You are talking of the minority leader of the party.
Yes.
You believe that they would be appointed and accept without consulting the party. That is the machinery of the party.
So they consulted and they were given okay?
Has the party
Given
endorsed
okay by
this? By the party?
I told you we endorsed in our meeting that the president's power under the Constitution allows him to appoint everybody and anybody in Kenya, including people in our party. What other endorsement do you need?
Okay, let me ask a different kind of question.
Yeah, what we have not done is formal engagement.
Okay.
I think what you people are asking is whether they have been given out by Raila or the party. I'm telling you, the president does not need to be given out people to serve Kenya by anybody.
All right.
He can appoint.
Why were you meeting? Because some of the things that you wrote down, according to what you said, is that you were meeting to set preconditionalities. Those were your words.
Yes.
Why were you meeting last weekend as ODM? Why did you meet? Specifically,
I gave you the 4 issues. I was going to the 5th.
I know what you discussed.
Yes.
I'm asking why you met in the first place. Why did you decide it was a good time to have a meeting at that time?
We had the issue being broached about national dialogue and the context. You remember, in terms of furthering reforms. And that is why you see those preconditions. And that is how you see national dialogue changing to national People's Convention, so that it becomes inclusive. But after those preconditions are met, and it is in that context where everything happening in the nation, including what the president had communicated, that I want to appoint all Kenyans or any Kenyan who can help serve in the government, including in other what he called broad-based, government, was discussed. And I said, I'm the one who stood there and I gave the example of Nkaiseri, and I said the president surely can appoint anybody.
Okay, so during this meeting, you were aware of information having reached ODM HQ that there would likely be appointments, nominations for individuals from the party into the cabinet. Were you aware?
At that time, there were rumors.
There were rumors?
There were rumors, and they were all over, you remember.
Okay.
There were rumors. And in fact, it is one of the things people kept broaching during the meeting.
Okay.
They are not rumors. Actually, some of that is, I don't know, you can confirm this, because the Hansard will show that the Honorable Peter Kaluma, speaking on Tuesday in the National Assembly, said the president should go ahead and nominate those other names that were forwarded to him by Raila.
Yeah, what I'll tell you is that I don't know whether names were forwarded to him. What I'd said in the meeting is that the president can appoint any Kenyan. How he gets those Kenyans, including contacting Latiff, is his business.
So there were rumors that there would be individuals from ODM nominated by the president for cabinet. Where were these rumors coming from?
In fact, not just from ODM, very many parties. The initial rumors are Charity Ngilu, very many people, very many Kenyans, I can tell you.
Okay.
And I can tell you those, if you see even the postings on Twitter, they kept changing each day, up to the last day. The initial rumors did not even have somebody like Honorable Pia Wandai, if you can remember. It was having Oparanya, Ngilu, you know, and to me it was pleasant because I believe what the president has lacked are people at the level of his peers who can tell him this is not right, this is not how it should be done. We've had young people in the cabinet, and not young in terms of age, but you know, leadership experience, and people who have never sat with him, people who are just saying, "Oh, Doyen, you're moving well." So it was good for me when I had people like Ngilu. You remember people like Martha Karua were being mentioned, and that is the context when this thing was being brought in the meeting.
So when you spoke in Parliament on Tuesday, and you said the president should then go ahead and also nominate those whose names have been sent to him by Raila, you were just perpetrating and perpetuating the same rumor.
No, there was information people would be appointed.
There was information,
and was there?
There was information. It was rumors all over.
Did you have information, as you said in Parliament, at the point when you're speaking in Parliament, that Raila has forwarded names to the president?
No, I didn't have.
So why did you say it?
What we had said there is that whether the president consults Raila or Latiff or Muga to get the people, or he gets them himself, he has the power to appoint.
So what were you saying in Parliament, Mheshimiwa?
So was there a list? Because you said very clearly in Parliament that the rest of the names on the list should actually be forwarded. Where did you get that information from?
I was clear in Parliament. I don't know why you are asking me the things I say.
We want you to clarify. It wasn't clear.
I don't need to clarify. People have been appointed. They are Kenyans. Let us not take much time on it. And remember when I spoke in Parliament too,
yes,
you saw me, the Kaluma you didn't know. I'm never emotional. I'm never that, passionate.
Yeah, you were
There is something
passionate.
I was reacting to. And you remember for the first time I mentioned communities.
What were you reacting to?
Not that they should not be mentioned, but I mentioned communities. You get what I mean? Yeah. Now, at that time, the rumor was becoming more and more clearer and patent, and we were getting to know that Honorable John Mbadi, including Honorable Wandai, were under consideration. And when that came up, Latiff, our members of parliament went into their tribal bigotry and cocoons. And the thing that started running around Muga was these are two Luos, these are two big portfolios for Luos. And that is why I said, but what is wrong with the Luo? If that be the case, let them go. In any event, I'm telling you, somebody like Mbadi is not Luo. And that is what I was reacting to. And you've seen these jokes. Go up to yesterday, you saw groups addressing the media. You saw it in KTN, in Spice, all over, saying Mbadi should leave. I'm telling you, up to last night, Baba, who returned to the country yesterday, could not go home even to cure his jet lag. Communities are going to him as if he's the one appointing. I'm telling them, let Baba rest.
All right.
You want those positions, go and talk with the president outside there.
Is there division in ODM? You've spoken very clearly now about the Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna, saying 1, 2, 3. Is there a split in ODM over this recent activity and engagement?
Sifuna is the Secretary General of the party.
Is there a split in ODM?
There is no split.
Okay.
He's the official spokesperson of the party, isn't he?
Yes.
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
So the position that he gives when he comes out and speaks in public forum is the position of the party.
Should be the position of the party.
What he said, what he said, was that the position of the party? If he's the official spokesman of the party.
If it came from the resolutions of the party, it is. And remember, I've told you, there is a way Sifuna spoke, not giving you the full context I've given you. If he gave the full context, you'd have understood him to be speaking the same thing. The thing is that he picked a slice and he never gave you the whole picture I'm giving you about the resolutions.
So based on that, I ask a question again. Is the resolution across board still giving the picture of a unified Orange Democratic Movement?
The Orange Democratic Movement is the strongest political party Edwin Sifuna is the Secretary General of the party. Kaluma is a loyal and strong member, third member of the party. We don't contradict ourselves, except that we are talking in bits and pieces. Let us go out whenever we talk, to talk the whole thing. And that is why I was telling you, when you saw James Orengo, for instance, I was telling you we cannot accept anything in government before we deal with essentially the preconditions. He's not saying there were preconditions, then these were to fall into place. So we are saying the same thing, but in bits and pieces.
Have the preconditions been met?
Yeah, a number of them are being met to pleasantly. I can tell you, I saw the president say that anybody who is under arrest, should go home. I know.
Have they been released?
There are considerations. That is for all Kenyans now to be alert and to do the audit and to confirm that anybody who was detained enjoying their constitutional rights, are duly released. We had pressed for termination of cases. I know that requires procedure because, the office of the DPP is an independent office. But I know that should also happen because there is nobody to try anybody for enjoying their constitutional rights. I know as somebody in government that there is consideration in terms of compensation, and I think this is the biggest reason as to why I want us to have dialogue or a national conversation before compensation.
Okay.
Because look, what if the president decides I'm giving each family 100,000? We've left it to him to decide as he will. He would have done compensation, but not adequate quantum we would have discussed.
So then,
and you see the Gen Zs who are talking about ethnic balance. The cabinet was dissolved. A cabinet which has a bit of more competent people, I know, and has a bit of a better face of Kenya. It has been proposed, will be undergoing vetting. So there is some progress. Let us keep seeking more.
What is it that you would tell the deputy party leaders of ODM, the chairman of ODM, and the leader of a minority, who's an ODM member, about this? Do you want to tell them that before these preconditions are met, they should not take up their positions in the government? Those preconditions include: 1, revert our public healthcare insurance back to NHIF.
Correct.
And discard SHIF. 2, prosecute all security sector perpetrators who have facilitated atrocities to peaceful Kenyans. 3, resolution of outstanding healthcare workers' welfare and education, that's JSS teachers' grievances. 4, dismiss all protest-related cases and compensation for every victim of police brutality. Baba's statement says, without this, we first sort out these issues, then we can then talk about our conversation.
We sort out those issues.
Now the question is, what do you, as a member of the party and a ranking member of ODM, tell your deputy party leaders and your chairman? Do you want to tell them, until these conditions are met, don't enter that government?
My deputy party leaders are Wycliffe Oparanya and Governor Joe, the chairman of my party, who should be resigning, the Honorable John Badi, my minority leader who will be leaving that seat, the Honorable Pio and I. The call to serve the nation is great. You are going into cabinet will enable you working together with the president and the nation to resolve some of these issues. So go and serve as these issues are resolved. And when they come to your desk, please attend to them, because Kenyans did not say dissolve government. The government exists, and the government has to be there for some of those things to be done. So join the president and the government, the people of Kenya, in addressing those issues.
The Honorable Peter Kaluma, Member of Parliament for Homabay Town Constituency and Assistant Speaker in the National Assembly. Thank you for joining us. Loyal ODM party member.
Yes. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.